Zelda as a character is all over the place. I had a conversation with some friends earlier in the year about the future of Zelda's role in the series. One of them quipped,
"She'll be the one saving Link next."
A few months later, the trailer for The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom dropped. Sometimes she's asleep throughout the entire game, other times a ruthless pirate captain. She's been hidden in the shadows, been de facto Princess Regent, a prisoner, and even dead. Well, kind of. While Link's character has seen some variation over the years, he remains fundamentally consistent. Zelda has not. Zelda's original role as the classic fairy tale princess being saved by a brave young swordsman was nothing new even 40 years ago. It wasn't even new to Nintendo, as it's also the role of Princess Peach in the Super Mario series. But while Mario games facilitate shallow storylines, enabling Peach to be a simple MacGuffin, the Legend of Zelda series needed Zelda's character to develop beyond this. Not only because repeating this role would be repetitive in a story-driven experience, but also because the series bears her name. Brushing her aside is not an option.
Why not? They did it in Majora's Mask.
Zelda was in Majora's Mask.
Only as an acid trip, or whatever it was, and only for about 30 seconds.
I suppose it could work without her. There are Metroid games without Metroids in them, like Hunters and Federation Force.
Perhaps not the best examples there, Hev.
But to say Nintendo doesn't know what to do with Zelda as a character would be unfair and incorrect. But when the series as a whole is thematically analysed, perhaps the statement does bear some truth. In universe, Zelda is not only an important royal family member, but she's also the direct descendant of the goddess Hylia. She's important far beyond being the victim of bad intentions. This also backhandedly adds gravitas to Link's purpose. He's not in it for the pursuit of Zelda's affections, or because morally it's the right thing for him to do. More often than not, the entire kingdom is at stake. They both need to rise to this occasion. This means that it makes sense that Zelda occupies her own variation of pushing back the threat in tandem with Link, and this is the problem.
Why isn't Zelda ever a queen?
What?
She's always a princess. Everyone else is usually dead. Why not sit in the hot seat?
I guess royal succession isn't top of the list of things to do when your kingdom is on the verge of destruction.
Nintendo's problem is what exactly Zelda is supposed to do with each new iteration. In Echoes of Wisdom, Zelda herself is the protagonist, which is yet another new role. But if this were to continue, it begs the same question of what Link's purpose would need to be, and Link is simply too big of a mascot for Nintendo to abandon outright. So with each new Zelda game, ironically, Zelda is always going to be the creative headache, especially considering Nintendo's commitment to creating the mechanics of the game first and implementing story second. There is a risk of it becoming a mere vehicle for the gimmick of the game.
All of this wouldn't have been a problem if they'd stuck with the original name.
Do you mean the Hyrule Fantasy?
Yes. For those who don't know, the original game was called the Hyrule Fantasy in Japan. The Zelda bit was just a secondary title. For various reasons, some appropriately lost to time, the Hyrule Fantasy was dropped, and we've been stuck with The Legend of Zelda ever since.
Maybe The Legend of Zelda is quite a limiting name. I don't know. I suppose it makes sense that Nintendo stretches the canvas of Zelda and Link's roles in each new game. That way, it stays fresh.
But while we've seen several interesting relationships with Zelda as a character, I believe Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom got Zelda's involvement in the narrative about as correct as possible for the modern era. Correct in the sense that it's a relationship that can be delivered again and again in future games. The difference being the overlaying presentation, not the fundamental purpose of Zelda herself. In Breath of the Wild, Zelda is, on a most basic level, still the damsel in distress, and Link is still the hero destined to save her. She is, again, the Princess of Hyrule. Like her ancestors, she was born with the power to seal away the darkness, a power that her bloodline has historically possessed. But unlike her ancestors, Zelda struggles to awaken this power, leaving her wrestling with self-doubt. On the day the Calamity Ganon arose, Zelda's power failed. Ganon took control of the divine beasts, turning them against Hyrule. The champions were killed, and Link was gravely injured. Zelda ordered Link to be placed in the Shrine of Resurrection, giving him time to heal while she sealed the Calamity Ganon within Hyrule Castle. At her own personal cost, she spent the next 100 years maintaining this seal. Continuing on through Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda's role is more multifaceted. She's actively seeking ancient knowledge. She leads the rebuilding efforts of Hyrule and ultimately makes yet another great sacrifice to save her kingdom. While the exact circumstances of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom obviously cannot be reused with each new game, Zelda's relationship to them certainly can be.
What? what? The girl who's the key to everything trope? How about we get properly creative? The Wind Waker got this one right. Although how much you suspend your disbelief that a 3-foot-tall child could ever lead a band of ruthless pirates is up to you.
I suppose Nintendo does have to think about the brand. If they stray too far, they risk alienating people who may hold the series at arm's length. Especially since Breath of the Wild took such a huge leap forward in terms of sales.
I'm sorry, are we in an investors meeting or something?
Just saying you've got to think about these things.
Zelda needs to remain relevant and interesting to the stories that bear her name. Strong-willed and wise, curious and good-natured, but she's also royalty and the descendant of a goddess, and this places limitations on her character. She's no grunt. This means that a more hands-on relationship with the kingdom and subjects allows her to be relatable. She can also be realistic by showing moments of weakness and relying on the people around her for support, most notably Link himself.
When he could get a word in edgeways.
He doesn't speak!
That's the joke. Sake.
No. I think Link and Zelda should get married and be king and queen of Hyrule. Then they could have kids and a house
You've
and they
been
could...
reading the dark corners of Zelda forums again, haven't you?
No.
I preferred you when you were in the investors meeting. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. And here are more Nintendo videos I think you'll enjoy, including our very own show. Give it a try. I'm in it.